Wonderful. You can go ahead, Tanya. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Elham. Thank you for inviting me for this talk. As Elham has introduced me, that I am I introduced myself as a lifelong learner, and I am happy to share my knowledge with you all. Today's topic is about AI agents in real life, and let's start with that. So, what is agentic intelligence? Most of you know that AI is the ability of a machine to create something like human can create or decide take decisions like human take in real life. But now we are in the age of agentic intelligence where the machines can decide on their own that if they are given a goal, how to achieve it. So that is the revolution today, that we have machines that can take an objective and decide the tools and strategies on their own to perform whatever task or series of tasks are required to complete or achieve that. So the core agent characteristics are autonomy, reasoning, and tool use. So autonomy is the ability of the machine to work independently. All of you may have used ChatGPT, Gemini, and other AI tools available where you write the prompts, means you give them a question, and then they give you an answer or response back. And it may be that how to solve a mathematical question, how to create a report, or how to summarize an email, etc. But when we are talking about real AI agents, you only give them that what is your goal. Like you say that research for the latest products in market and create a summary of the best products to use for marketing purposes. So that is a goal that you have given. And then the tools that are used means opening the browser, researching about that goal, and then opening Word. These are different tools that are available, and we use it on our own if we are working. But when we give the goal to agents, agents can independently open different tools and create the final product for us. So autonomy is a characteristic of the agents that we are seeing today. And they can do it with or without constant human oversight. Second characteristics of agents that we see here is that they can use advanced logic to break down complex tasks into manageable sub-steps. Previously, it was done by humans, and nowadays also many human uh, use the workflow on their own. Means they step by step use these agents to do different tasks, but it's now easier that you send them a goal and then they can do their own reasoning. They can think by researching through the internet or whatever resources are there on the machine on which they are deployed. And then based on the thinking or reasoning that they have done, they are able to divide the task, a bigger task, into small components and perform these components on their own and give us a final product. So that is what current agentic AI is all about, that they can execute action via APIs. Sorry, I just want to minimize it. So they can execute actions via APIs, They can do the web browsing, they can open different softwares and execute actions in these softwares, and that impact the real world. So constant human intervention is not needed. If we create a machine and we train an agent to complete all the tasks, then it is called agentic AI. That when uh, we are using agentic AI, we just give them a task and we don't need to know that how to code, how to use different tools. The agents will do all of it on their own. So agent versus standard chatbot. Chatbot and agents have a difference. The legacy chatbots that we have seen, they receive the questions from us, and when we enter the question, they reply to us or they respond to us, means they answer the questions. But agents can act on their own. Chatbots wait for prompts. Prompts are the questions that we enter in Chat GPT, for example. But the agents, they know that, let's say by the morning, at 5 p.m., they have to read a folder in our computer. They have to check that if there are any updated files. If they found some updated files, they will read the files, extract information from that files, and then they will put it into the database that is installed on the same computer or in another computer. So this is completely autonomous, means the agents that know that how to do or how to act on their own, they don't need us to give them instructions again and again. Once we define the workflow, they can just follow it on their own. They can handle chains of 50 plus actions, means if there is a task that require different subtasks to complete, and that should be in a sequence, they can perform it. And they also have a feedback loop, means when they perform some actions and they create a product, they can check the feedback that how this product behave, whether it needs any improvement. If it needs the improvement, they can correct the errors on their own. So this is what how an agent is different than a standard chatbot. So there are three different terms that you may have seen that are AI workflows, agents, and multi-agentic systems. Just I will tell you simple explanation. AI workflows are managed by humans. A little bit means they are orchestrated by humans that from where to start and what to do if some condition is true or not true. AI agents are autonomous systems where an LLM is large language models like ChatGPT, like Claude. These are all LLMs. So AI agents are autonomous systems where LLM dynamically decides the next step. You don't guide them, they decide on their own that which tools to select, how to manage their own process to achieve a goal. While multi-agentic system is a collection of different agents that can work together, it is coordinated by an orchestrator or they can operate independently to solve complex tasks. So this is the basic difference between these three things, but all are AI type of AI agent or AI workflows in real life. So here is the difference between workflow and agent. In workflow, you have predefined path where when you start, you have clear instruction that first step will be to call a large language model with a prompt and then check what is the output score. If the score is greater than zero point 0.8, it means it's a yes, then execute action A. If it is less than, that, then answer is a no, then execute action B. So this is an example of a workflow where there are predefined path and these are followed by the agent. But if we are using an agent which can think and decide on their own, they take dynamic decisions. They don't follow the predefined path. They decide on their own that which tool should they use to solve the problem in hand, what's the best approach to solve it, which tools will be needed, like reading the email. For reading the email, maybe they need to open Outlook. And then if they receive, let's say, uh, an invoice and they need to extract sales information out of it, then using that sale information, they will open calculator on their own to uh, calculate the revenue. So they can decide on their own that what tools they will use next to finally create a report, for example. Although they are flexible and adaptive, but sometimes they may be expensive and unpredictable because the agents use more tokens than the workflow use. But still, both are used by different companies in real life. So it depends on the scenario which is in hand and how you want to solve it. If you are best at coding and project management, you can use a workflow, or if you want most of the tasks to be completed by agents, then you can use the agents. The market shift we are seeing for the use of agents, that because of they have helped in growth in productivity. So recent studies show that 54% of global enterprises are already deploying agentic workflows to handle routine logistics, research, and data analysis tasks. So it's a huge shift that we have seen in just last 4 to 5 years. Okay, so let's say agents in action today. So when you are seeing personal assistants, they are actually agents that handle complex scheduling and travel bookings autonomously. You just give them a goal that find me the cheapest flight on Monday, July, whatever is the date. Uh, and book it for me. So the personal assistant will search the internet from all the websites and find out the cheapest deal and book it for you. It will also perform the payment if it has access to it, and the flight will be booked and you will be sent a message of confirmation. So this is how much time they save for you while you have to search, if you manually search for a flight booking. And also, there are personal assistant that can schedule your meetings for the day by reading your emails and your replies or your team's messages. They can read it and they can schedule your whole day uh, by using agentic AI. The second most popular things that we are seeing is autonomous coding. So previously, it took 4 years to be an expert at coding, or almost 2 years for a diploma holder in coding to create complete apps. But now, the person who has no or little knowledge of coding, they can build entire apps from a single description. For example, if using Devin framework, you just describe what kind of application you want to create, who they will be serving. Just give it that goal and it will automatically create complete app for you that is easily deployable. Another kind of agents that we are seeing today are finance agents. So some finance agent can do continuous marketing monitoring, and they can build portfolio, and they perform portfolio rebalancing. We are also seeing agents that are granting or rejecting loan applications based on the historical data. So they are there in finance, and many of the banks and financial institutions are relying on them nowadays. So these are some of the examples that how agents are used in real life. What are the key benefits for the students to learn about it? Or how students can use agentic AI? The first thing is time management. Means you as a student have lot of things to do. You have to research, to create literature review, and then you have to find out the best strategy for your final thesis or report. But literature review takes a lot of time if do manually. But if you use agentic AI, they can automatically complete the research task for you. They can create a literature review for you, and they can find out the best possible strategies for completing your thesis. And then you can do the deep creative thinking only using the best strategies that are shortlisted by the AI agents. Second thing is personalized learning. So there are custom AI tutors that are AI agents that adapt to your unique learning pace and design tutorials for you according to your needs. They take your historical learning patterns and design personalized tutorials for your learning. Third thing that benefits student is the skill scaling. So building complex projects solo is possible now. Previously, that required a large team and a complete process that could span minimum 1 month to maximum 1 year. But now one person who knows how to use AI agents, they can build complex projects solo, and you don't need a team. You can create something that you can deploy immediately using AI agent. So skill scaling is another benefit for students. Now, if we see the industry adoption rates, there are only 4 industries that I am covering here, but a lot of industries are using it. Most important thing is that they help us in completing our task quickly, and technology is adopting it very quickly. You can see that 90% of technology companies have already adopted it in their workflows. Finance is the second one that is adopting agentic AI, so that is 75%. Healthcare is still behind technology companies and finance, so they have only 60% of agentic AI implemented in their workflow because there are some ethical and some performance gaps that they think are still there. Because of it, that number is still 60%, but that's still a huge number. And education has adopted it 45% because they are still checking that how to implement it, but this number is increasing on daily basis. So when we are talking about the adoption of AI, we have seen it in different industries. Some of it we have discussed, some of it we have not discussed. But why people are hesitant in adopting agentic AI is because of the ethical concerns. AI can read and use tool on their own, and it can take decisions which can be biased, and that can benefit a community and disadvantage another community. So that is why there is still a concern. So we will see that what are the ethical challenges in using AI agents. So the ethical challenges that we will discuss are about privacy, confidentiality, and bias in modern data-driven decision systems. Now, privacy is when I want to decide that what data I want to share on a social media platform or not. Or if I have installed a software which has an AI agent base, what data it should collect from my mobile phone or from my laptop. So privacy concerns are there because when you know that an AI agent can read your information from your mobile phone because they are autonomous agents, they can use any tools, so people feel hesitant because they don't know that how that agent is designed, whether that will keep the data private or that will share with a third party or that is not our consent. Second thing is confidentiality. The AI agents need huge data to train themselves and to improve their performance. Confidentiality is when they collect the data, but when they are storing it, the companies are not sure whether their data will be safe or it can be completely kept confidential from unauthorized access. So that's another concern. That's why people or organizations are hesitating in adopting AI agents. Third thing is bias that I have explained that bias is in data collection. When AI agents are designed, they need huge data sets and what data they have collected to train themselves, which is helping them take decisions that may be in favor of one community or not in favor of another community. So how they are taking decision, that is called bias. Whether the data collection before the agents were designed was biased or unbiased, and the decisions that they are taking to, let's say, if we are talking about a bank which is granting the loans or uh, rejecting the loan applications, how that decision was taken. If this process is not transparent, then it will be considered as a biased system. So that's why there are some ethical challenges and ethical concerns which is still there to resolve. Let's see them in detail. So ethics and safety is when we are checking how many the whole process of decision making by the AI agents, are they involving human in that decision making, or human can check the final decision before approving or rejecting a loan or not. So also these agents, their design is something like that. The data that is collected is by humans initially, and also the decisions that agents take, they are guided initially by humans. So an agent gain more autonomy after it is trained by some humans. Now, if the human was biased in data collection, in means the human that was in charge of training that agent, he had some bias, discrimination, and he has labeled the data using that unfair techniques, then the resultant agent will enhance that biased decision or the rejection or acceptance of loans if we are talking about financial agents. So we must ensure that agents remain transparent, unbiased, and ultimately accountable to human designers. Means that once the decision is taken, that is not directly taken by the agent, but its final say is of a human who is expert in that domain, because he will check that the decision that is recommended by the agent, is it fair, is it bias free, and whether if that decision is taken, who it will affect, and if that affected community asks questions about the decisions that is taken against them, how you will justify the action taken by the agent. So student success in the AI era also depends on balancing technical skills with moral responsibility. You must know that if you are using AI agents, you should be able to explain that how one decision or a chain of decision that is taken by the agent is clear, fair, unbiased, and transparent. For example, in we are still in the age where we manually drive, but there are self-driving cars. Still, there are concerns because if the car is completely driverless, then how it is deciding that which course to take, how to speed up, how to apply brake, and that is still under process of improvement. So there is a hybrid approach that is still there, that some cars have autopilot system, but you can take control when you think that you should do. So human in the loop is important. Then some agents that are in the marketing or uh, the pricing agents that are used by websites, they may have ethical concerns because let's say that an e-commerce platform is using customer data to adjust prices dynamically. Now that customer data may be the customer browsing history, that whether they are only the visitors of our website since last 5 visits and they have not converted, means they have not converted to customers, they have not bought anything, so the prices that will be shown to that customers will be different. Same goes that if a customer is there and filled its shopping cart with some product, but it is leaving the website without checking out, immediately agent can offer them a discounted price, so that maximum sales are generated for the company. Another concern is that these agents use these strategies that if some user is browsing your website from a premium phone like a latest iPhone, there will be a 30% increase in the pricing shown for products to those customers because they will be considered as uh, wealthy customers according to the agent. So this dynamic pricing will enhance or maximize the revenue for the company, but it will be unfair for some customers because customers will be paying different prices for the same product when they are buying from the same company. So, this is another ethical concern which is considered unfair by different customers. Another AI agent implementation in real life is in the hiring process. When you have an agent which can sort out automatically the resumes that are received on a website for a post that was advertised, that can use different keywords to find from the resume and shortlist the best candidate. Now, this is good for HR department because previously hiring process was so long. It usually takes 3 to 5 months for getting the best candidates if the company has a high uh, rate of resumes that they are receiving daily basis. To sort out the resumes, that was a time consuming task. And then there is a process of taking tests and then uh, conducting a series or chain of interviews to finally hire someone. But now this whole process using agentic AI can be completely automated, where the advertisement is created by the AI agent that is posted on the websites by AI agents, and then the customers or the employees, the candidates send their resumes to that system. That system receives the resume, find out the best resume, shortlist the best candidates, send them a test date, and then that may be an online test that is conducted by an AI agent, and the results are automatically generated by AI agents. And those results, based on those results, the further interviews are um, maybe conducted online by an AI agent, or it could be hybrid, means you will be called to meet the team. So that is an automated hiring process that has reduced the work of HR department, but still that may have bias in it. And there are cases that were reported that, for example, a managerial position was advertised, and most of the candidates that were selected were male candidates. Why? Because these agents are using machine learning or deep learning, and deep learning is trained on huge data sets from historical data. And you know that if we go back 30 years, there were no 30 to 50 years back, the data about females leading some companies on managerial position was less than male managers. So since that data about male managers was in abundance, means it was more than the female managers, so the system that was trained using that data will decide that the best candidate, if it has to decide between male and female, it will consider male. So it is necessary that the system of automated hiring, if the agent should be audited by third parties, that what are its decisions, what is the rate of selection which is bias free, gender bias free, demographic free, the bias free. So this is a must if you are using it. Otherwise, the trust on the hiring process can be challenged by the candidates. Another real life implementation of AI agents is in healthcare. So, healthcare is when in hospitals, the data of the patients is used to to prioritize the treatment plan among different patients. So there are, let's say, 100 patients that want the cancer surgery this week, but the AI agent system is prioritizing some uh, some patients over the other based on the data, historical data that they have. Now, this is an ethical concern that the treatment prioritization by the system is not transparent. Maybe a person who needs immediate medical care is denied it or prolonged access to it by the system because it didn't have much data about that community, patients, or vice versa. So, the potential bias in treatment access is another concern which we are seeing in healthcare treatment prioritization. So, this is still lack of auditable decisions. So a third party should check that how decisions are made by the AI agents, whether they are biased, whether they are fair or not. If they are unfair, then the system should be revised so that the there is a reduction in unfair treatment prioritization. Now, the myth of objectivity is that the analytic systems are not self governing. They reflect human judgment in variable selection, data cleaning, and performance matrices. So, the whole agentic systems are designed by humans. So, humans should be bias free in the process of feature selection when they are cleaning the data, because if the data is not clean, then the judgment by the model will be unfair or not precise or accurate. So in during the data cleaning phase, the data should be selected which is diverse from representing all different walks of life, and it should be audited that whether the training data which is supplied to the agentic AI system to train itself was fair, bias free, and is free of errors. And sometimes a system is working very well. They are generating a lot of sales for the company who are using that system, but their technical performance does not guarantee their ethical validity. Means maybe they are generating biased decisions. For example, let me give you an example of Netflix, which has recommendation engines. And Netflix recommend the top movies, the most loved movies to the viewers based on their previous browsing history or their watching history or their screen time. So this is a win-win situation because when people get good recommendations, they give good feedback to that recommendation engine, and the company is succeeding as well as it's in favor of the customers. But it is not fair for those movies that don't have so much marketing or marketing investment involved and they have just entered in the industry. So they will be starved by the recommendation system because their movie whether it would be very good movie, it will be touching very sensitive issues, but since it has no one have watched it and no one have recommended it, so they may not be shown to the viewers to see it or get good feedback from the viewers. So although the technical performance of the recommendation engine will be considered really good, but still there will be biased in based on historical data because that movie was never seen, so it will not be recommended. So that should also be considered that if out of all the data that is available, some data is never selected for getting some good feedback by the system. Now, if we talk about digital autonomy, then privacy is about individual control over behavioral patterns and inferred attributes. So organizations face a massive information asymmetry that lead to consent that is often technically acquired but not meaningfully informed. Means some some search engines or some softwares that we install that are taking our consent to share our data or use our data for training their system. So we give them the consent that, okay, for improving the system, you can use our data. But we have not given our consent to share our data or sell our data to third party. So consent must be taken in its real meaning if the company is going to use that data, which will expose the data of the customers or the users to third party. So it should be clearly informed to the uh, users of that system, and they should be given a opt-in or opt-out feature so that if they don't want, their data should not be shared. Okay, so another ethical concern is data stewardship, where the custodian of the data has the responsibility to keep it safe. So confidentiality shifts the focus from if data is collected to how it is managed. So it is organizational obligation to protect sensitive information and medical records. So there must be a strong technical infrastructure used by the companies who are collecting the data. For example, if hospitals are collecting patient data, they are custodian of the data and they have the responsibility to buy all infrastructure, hardware, software to keep it encrypted and safe. And there should be strict organizational governance and so that employees only are allowed access to a limited data, not they don't have access to all the data, and only authorized personnel can see the data or change it. Otherwise, they are completely hidden. And also continuous employee awareness that when new employee join and or the employees are there in that company which is custodian of the data, they are trained on regular basis that how to avoid the activities that can harm this custodian responsibility of the data. So bias, which we have already discussed, that it could be based on the historical data that was collected, and there was data in the past which has inequalities embedded in social system and legacy records. For example, maybe policing agents which deploy more police in some areas which belong to some communities which were previously involved in crime, but now the crime rate is dropped significantly. But still, because the data that was taken historically was pointing that area to be more crime uh, affected, so even nowadays more police will be deployed in that. So this is a historical bias that is even reflected in today's system. So it should need a changing or improvement. Sometimes bias is in sampling, means when you are collecting data and you are giving it for training, there is less data about one class and more data about another class. For example, let's say that a bank is training to find out the transactions, whether they are normal transactions or they are fraudulent transactions. So the data of normal transaction is more because frauds don't happen daily. So the transactions that were fraudulent that have very few data. So that is our risk that when we train our system and it is there to identify whether a transaction is fraudulent or it's a normal transaction, it may uh, not be able to decide if a fraud is happening or not because it has very few data. So that is when sampling bias can hinder the decision ability of an agent. And sometimes also that some groups that uh, were denied loan in the past and they might be refused loan in future also because their history of loan uh, completion was missing or very few data was there for them. And sometimes there is bias in measurements, which is design choices that systematically distort information across demographics. So here are some real world impacts that you are seeing that if there is a bias because of historical patterns, then the hiring AI system or AI agent will favor specific groups that led to automated disadvantage for diverse candidates. Another scenario is credit inequality, where sometimes the agents they check postal codes and they relate them with socio-economics of that area, and the loan applications that are received from that postal codes will be denied. Another bias that was introduced in facial recognition systems, now it is improved, but it was in 2015 or coming years when there was lower accuracy rates for marginalized groups due to underrepresentative training data samples. So these are some real world impacts of the system if they don't take feedback, don't have audits for fairness and bias-free systems that can impact the individuals. So there is a trade-off between privacy and bias, and then there is another trade-off between confidentiality and trust. So if data is kept private and we want to address the ethical issue of biasness, that we want to collect more data. Bias is mostly resulted from less data. So it means that the systems will need more data to improve the bias. But when we are getting more data from individuals, we may be affecting their privacy. So addressing one ethical issue in isolation is often insufficient for holistic solutions. Same goes for confidentiality and trust, that weak security controls compromise data integrity, which in turn introduces new forms of systemic bias in outcomes. So these are what should be considered, that when you are trying to improve one thing, don't reduce the other thing. They must be in balance. This is what I discussed with you, that collecting more data to reduce bias inevitably footprints and risks the system. And weak security controls compromise data integrity, which in turn introduces new forms of systemic bias in outcomes. So here you see that a system has weak security controls, like expired password were not updated, there are disconnected firewalls and unmonitored access to the system. So someone can change the data, and that change data that is compromised is fed to the agent's training. And since that data integrity is compromised, the model that is trained on that, and that is the brain of the agent system, will introduce systemic bias in the outcome, whether it will be unfair and skewed decisions in justice or in healthcare or financial systems. So we should be very aware that every uh, starting from data collection to storage to training, everything should be clearly monitored to be bias free, and there should be an eye on confidentiality as well as the trust. Otherwise, the affected persons will not trust the models that are used. So good design is obvious, great design is transparent and ethically sound. Now, if we talk about the top AI agent frameworks, this is a list, although there are many of them, but Creo AI is an AI agent framework which provides multi-agent orchestration. It has intermediate complexity in usage. AutoGPT is a general purpose autonomy agent which has a very high complexity. Devin is a software engineering framework that is fully managed, so it is good to use. And if you want to use AI agent framework for enterprise workflows, then Microsoft AutoGen is a highly complex but good choice. So if you want to learn more about this field, first thing is that you master LLM fundamentals. Then in the step two, um, equip yourself with advanced prompting techniques. Then in the third step, you can learn tool integration. And finally, you learn to develop and deploy the agents on infrastructure. So I hope that's something you have learned from this presentation. Now I'm open for questions.
Thank you so much, Tanya, for this wonderful information. I personally learned a lot, and I believe that a lot of our students have the same opinion. Okay, so as Tanya mentioned, we've now come to the Q&A part. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. If not, if you would really like to speak, you can raise your hand. I will be able to enable your microphone and you can unmute yourself and speak. In the meantime, I'm going to share the link to the form, the feedback form that I have. I just put it in the chat. If you just click on it, you can see that there's 3 questions. I'm asking you if you found this session fruitful and if you have any other topics in mind for the future sessions. Well, everybody is thanking you, Tanya.
Thank you so much, everyone. I
Thank you. It was
appreciate that you
great.
joined the workshop.
Okay, so I can see Mikhail. Okay, I just allowed microphone. You can unmute yourself, Mikhail. Yeah, Mikhail, now you have access to your microphone. You should just unmute yourself and start speaking. Okay, I guess they just left. Oh my God, a lot of great feedback. Wow. Thank you, everyone, for your feedback. Okay, please take the time to complete the form. I don't see a lot of responses. Okay, I'm gonna put the link to the forum here for you once again, so everybody can see it. Okay, I don't think anyone has any questions. Oh, no problem. You can leave the session. It's not a mandatory session. You can leave. Wow. Okay. I don't see any questions coming, Tanya, so I think I can let you go. Once again, thank you so much.
Thank you
I
for
look
having me
forward,
here.
absolutely. I look forward to more of these wonderful sessions with you. Hopefully, we can have you over once again.
Anytime.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. If you have already completed the form, feel free to leave the meeting. I'm going to stay here for a couple of more minutes and then I will leave as well. Thank you, Tanya. I appreciate you.